Hello, good evening or good morning, whatever you are watching from. Thank you very much for joining Education USA webinar today. My name is Tomoko Silva, an Education USA advisor in Tokyo, and I am going to be an MC for today's session. Before I introduce today's speakers, let me briefly introduce Education USA. You see Education USA here. What is it? Education USA is the U.S. State Department's network to promote U.S. college and universities. More importantly, we support students to study in the United States by providing accurate, comprehensive, and current information. We organize sessions like this to make you connect with U.S. universities and representatives. Education USA centers are located all over the world. We have more than 400 centers in this planet. In Japan, we have 6 Education USA centers at the embassy and consulates. If you have any question regarding America Ryugaku, please contact the closest Education USA center. Because it's the National Volunteer Month, we have speakers who are going to speak about volunteer work, club activities, sports activities, internships, and other things students can enjoy at the college and universities. We are taking your questions, so please type your question in our Q&A box below. So let me turn it to you, Clark.
Okay, 皆さん、こんばんは、こんにちは、おはようございます。Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning in the United States. It's 6 in the morning here in the United States, and I know it's late. It's early evening in Japan. So thank you so much for joining our presentation today. And we have 2 states that are going to give presentations about our universities, West Virginia and Pennsylvania. We have 2 universities in West Virginia, West Virginia University and West Liberty University, and 2 universities in Pennsylvania, the Community College of Philadelphia and Drexel University. So you're going to hear from 4 universities about their extracurricular activities and international student life. And actually, Pennsylvania and West Virginia are neighbors. We're right next to each other. And so you can come to Pennsylvania and visit West Virginia. You can come and study in Pennsylvania and visit West Virginia, or you can come and study in West Virginia and visit Pennsylvania. So we hope that you will consider studying in the USA and hopefully in our states. So I'm going to begin, and I'm going to talk about the opportunities for extracurricular activities in West Virginia. So I'm going to share my screen right now so that you can see my PowerPoint. My name is Clark Egnor, and I am coordinator of international programs at the West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission. So I work for the state government of West Virginia. And I represent 11 high quality, affordable public universities in West Virginia. And you can see the names of the universities. These 11 universities offer over 500 undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral degree programs. So whatever you want to study, you can find it in West Virginia. Now, all of our schools in West Virginia offer opportunities for international students to make friends, to find common interests, and explore new experiences outside of the classroom, including clubs and organizations, Greek life, fraternities, sororities, team athletics. Most of our schools are NCAA. We have one that is NAIA, intramural sports and sports clubs, campus recreation centers, on-campus residence halls and dining options, university-sponsored activities, outdoor adventure opportunities, international student clubs. All of our universities have international students and they have international student clubs. English as a second language, intensive English programs before you begin your degree study, or English as a second language support while you are studying at the university. Cultural events and festivals, community connections like host family programs or visiting elementary schools, interacting with members of the community here, and trips to nearby attractions. We are located close to some major cities in the United States. West Virginia, we are also called the Mountain State. It's a beautiful state, lots of mountains. We are the only state in the United States that is entirely within the Appalachian Mountains. That means that our campuses are not flat. They're not flat, they're hilly. So you have to climb hills sometimes to go to class. Now, this is good exercise because as a college student in the United States, you may eat a lot in the cafeteria and you will be able to not gain too much weight by walking on the hills. Okay, that's a joke. All right, so we are conveniently located to major cities by car, train, and plane, including Chicago, New York City, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. And as an international student in West Virginia, you will likely have the opportunity to take trips to some of these cities as part of a club or a university activity. West Virginia is famous for its natural beauty, its mountains and rivers, and its outdoor lifestyle, including river rafting, whitewater rafting, and kayaking, and fishing. We have lots of rivers here. And rock climbing, because we have lots of mountains, or hiking, and mountain biking, and zip lining. Have you ever zip lined before? And snowboarding, and skiing, and snow tubing in the winter. I was going to say international students in West Virginia have the opportunity to participate in outdoor adventure activities through clubs or campus recreation services. So this is definitely something that all of our universities in West Virginia take advantage of the beautiful nature and the outdoor activities. West Virginia is a place where international students are welcomed like family. Okay, these international students are holding the flag of West Virginia. And as an international student in West Virginia, you have the opportunity to participate in programs that will connect you with other American students and members of the community as well as other international students, because most of our campuses have international students from many countries. So you will have the opportunity to connect with lots of different kinds of people on the campus and in the community through cultural events on the campus, like international festivals or homestay programs, etc. Now, all of our schools this fall in West Virginia will be offering in-person or hybrid instruction, and they will be following procedures to ensure appropriate social distancing and mask wearing in class and on campus. Now, I'm going to talk about 5 universities. You're going to hear from West Virginia University and West Liberty University, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the extracurricular activities at 5 of our universities: Glenville State College, Bluefield State College, Shepard University, Concord University, and Marshall University. Now, we're going to play a game as I talk about the universities. I want you can guess the mascot. Can you guess the mascot and the nickname of the athletic team? For example, Fairmont State University is another university in West Virginia, and you can see the picture of their mascot. And the mascot is a falcon. It's a kind of bird. And their nickname of the athletic team is the Fighting Falcons. Now, here's another one, West Virginia State University. Do you know the mascot? Can you guess the mascot? It's not a bee. It's a kind of wasp, and it's called a yellow jacket. So the West Virginia State University athletic teams are called the Yellow Jackets. Okay, so this is how the game will work. So let's begin. This is Glenville State College, and it is a small public liberal arts college. It is our smallest public university in West Virginia. They only have undergraduate degree programs, no graduate programs. These are the top majors for international students at Glenville, okay? And Glenville has around 1,600 students total, and only 5 international students from 3 countries. So if you study at Glenville, you will be very unique. Maybe this girl who plays soccer at Glenville, I think she is Japanese, actually. Glenville has had some Japanese students. Okay, their colors are blue and white, and this is their mascot. Can you guess the mascot? It's a pioneer, okay? So Glenville State College, we call them the Pioneers. Glenville State College has over 20 student organizations. They have an international student organization. Some of their international students participate in Greek life, fraternities and sororities, and they have a high adventure program. So if you study at Glenville, you can go hiking, fishing, canoeing, whitewater rafting, and skiing. And they are an NCAA Division II athletic team. All right, this is Bluefield State College, and they are a small 4-year public college. They have undergraduate degree programs. These are the popular programs for international students at Bluefield. They have around 1,200 students, so it's like Glenville State College. It's a small university. They have around 20 international students from 20 countries, so very diverse international student population. And their colors are blue and gold. And this is their mascot. Can you guess the mascot? Well, it's a dog, but they call their mascot Big Blue. It's a Great Dane. So the Bluefield sports teams are called the Big Blue. And at Bluefield, they have around 20 student organizations. They have an international student organization. Some international students have been in the student government. I remember one international student was president of the student government at Bluefield. They also have outdoor recreational activities, whitewater rafting, zip lining, skiing. They take trips to Washington, D.C. because it's the closest big city, and you can see a picture of a trip to D.C. And they have some cultural celebrations that international students participate in. And they are an NCAA Division II school. This is Concord University. It's a four-year public liberal arts university. They have undergraduate degree programs. Now, Concord, these are the popular majors for international students at Concord. They have 1,800 students, so they have more students than Glenville or Bluefield. They're kind of a middle-size university in West Virginia. Over 70 international students from 30 countries. Their colors are maroon and gray, and this is their mascot. Can you guess the mascot? Well, it's a mountain lion, and he has a name. His name is Roar. Okay, roar is the sound that a mountain lion makes. It goes like roar. That's what a mountain lion sounds like. And I think we have some mountain lions in West Virginia, but you don't have to worry. You're not in danger if you come here. Now, Concord University has 40 student organizations. They have an international student club. They have a host family program. They have recreational activities, like most of our universities in West Virginia. They have a marching band, concert band, and choir. And the school told me that they will give scholarships to students who participate in the marching band or concert band or choir. So if you have musical abilities, and you might consider applying for a scholarship. I don't know, it may cover a lot of the tuition and living expenses, actually. And that would be a great way to make friends and get to know the culture of America. And they are NCAA Division II. This is Shepard University. It's a four-year public liberal arts university. They have undergraduate and graduate degree programs. They're located near Washington, D.C., only 90 minutes driving. These are the popular majors at Shepard. They have over 2,600 students. They're one of the larger universities and public universities in West Virginia. They have over 70 international students from 30 countries, and their colors are blue and gold. And this is their mascot, okay? Do you know the name of this mascot? It's called a ram. So Shepard University athletic teams are called the Rams. And Shepard University, I think this is a cherry blossom tree, right? A sakura tree on the campus. So you can have hanami at Shepard University. Shepard University Oh, I can't read this. Shoot. Shepard University has 100 student organizations. They have an international student club called Global Shepard. They have a multicultural leadership team. They have some different, these are some names of different activities, university-sponsored activities that are popular with international students, and they are NCAA Division II. All right, this is our last university that I'm going to feature. It's Marshall University. It is a 4-year public research university. It's the second largest university in West Virginia. They have undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral degree programs. These are some of the popular majors for international students. They have 14,000 students and over 700 international students from 60 countries. Their colors are green and white, and this is the mascot. Do you know the mascot? It's a buffalo, and this buffalo has a name. His name is Marco, and the nickname for the sports team is the Thundering Herd, the Thundering Herd. Now, Marshall University has over 230 student organizations, including some clubs that are Japan related. They have a Japan club, Sado, Tea Club, Kendo Club, and Anime and Manga Club. And the reason that Marshall has lots of Japanese related clubs is because Marshall has a large Japanese language program. So there are many American students studying Japanese at Marshall, and you have the opportunity to help with the Japanese language program as a Japanese conversation partner or tutor. Marshall has an annual international festival that's very large. And these are photos of the Japanese table where Japanese students can interact with the community and introduce them to the beautiful Japanese culture. And they have a host family program, and they are NCAA Division I. And I want to mention that in West Virginia, we have a long and close relationship with Japan. We have 21 Japanese companies in West Virginia, including Toyota. And since 1990, West Virginia has operated a trade office in Nagoya. And you can contact the trade office. The trade office will help you. If you're going to come and study in West Virginia, you can contact the trade office, and we have Japanese staff at the office that can help you. All right, so over 2,500 international students from over 120 countries study at our colleges and universities in West Virginia every year, including some Japanese students. But we would love to welcome you and more Japanese students to West Virginia. And I hope that you will consider exploring the opportunities to study abroad in West Virginia, the Mountain State. So, kite kudasai, kite benkyou shite kudasai, West Virginia ni. And dozo yoroshiku onegai shimasu. This is my contact information. Thank you for listening to my presentation. And I want to turn it over to, I think the next person who's going to speak would be Amber. And she's going to talk about West Virginia University. So Amber.
Good morning. Ohayou gozaimasu. So I actually lived in Japan for 2 years, so it's wonderful to get to be a part of this presentation today. I'm looking forward to telling you about not only the place where I work, but also my alma mater. I went to West Virginia University myself and got my law degree there and traveled the world a little bit and then came back and got my PhD. So I'm going to try and share my screen with you. There we go. Okay, Clark, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see that slide? Cool. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. I know Clark basically touched on a lot of wonderful things about West Virginia. West Virginia University, or WVU, as we refer to it often, is what's known as the flagship institution for West Virginia. We're the largest school in the state with about 30,000 students and a couple of smaller branch campuses in different regions of the state. We're what's known as an R1 institution, or a very high research institution by the Carnegie Science Foundation. So we have lots of graduate and doctoral programs available to any student that's qualified to enter those programs. We have a lot of international students, particularly from Asia, in our STEM graduate fields. We find that they're very high performing students and do very well in our programs. Just to touch briefly on something that Clark mentioned in the time of COVID, we are planning to be 100% on campus this fall. Our classrooms are back to full capacity. I don't know if the news reached Japan, but West Virginia has had one of the best vaccine rollout programs in the state. We currently have vaccinations available for any student who wants them, and are planning for any international student can be vaccinated upon arrival if that's their choice. So good news on that front, at least. This is a snapshot of our international student enrollment. Obviously, we took a drop last fall because a lot of international students weren't able to travel to the United States. Even though we are planning to be fully back on campus this fall, if you're still not comfortable traveling or you're not able to for some reason, we are still going to offer online and distance options for international students, the same as we did in fall 2020. So if you want to start at a US school, but again, you're not really ready to leave home or you're not ready to travel across the world, you can start with us through online courses. Many of those are taught what we call synchronously. They would be taught in the morning in the US, but in the evening in Japan, you could get on Zoom just like this and watch your professor lecture. We've even figured out how to do chemistry labs and engineering labs online using some pretty cool computer programs. So again, that's an option as well. We're going to be working with all of our international students to see what types of instruction they prefer for the fall. So you can see we normally have around 2,000 international students. We did see a dip for COVID. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see our intensive English program. There's 2 phases to this program now. If you have no English skills at all, or you really just haven't had much exposure to English, you can enter our intensive English program. If you have some English skills, but you think I'm not ready to be completely in the classroom by myself yet, we are starting this fall what we call the AMP program, or the Accelerated Mountaineer program. So you have 2 or 3 English instruction courses to help you improve your skills. And then you can also take 2 or 3 4-credit courses. And we have handpicked those faculty. They know that they're going to have students with limited English skills in their classes, and they're willing and able to work with those students. So it'll be a nice balance. You can be in classes learning English and then go to the next building and take a class with American students with a faculty member that's going to support you. When we talk about extracurricular things and all of the campus services, what I always stress to our faculty, to our students, to our staff is that first and foremost, our international students are WVU students. You are entitled to the same services, the same privileges as all students at WVU. There's not, well, here's the international student activities and here's the domestic student activities. No, everything is open to you. In fact, in some ways you have more opportunities because, as Clark mentioned, my office and some other units on campus will do programs specifically targeting international students. And usually those are geared to bring international students and domestic students together. In West Virginia, we have a lot of what's known as first gen students, students that from West Virginia that are the first in their family to go away to college. They may not have had a lot of exposure to other countries of the world. So those students love being a part of these programs and meeting people from other countries and learning about other cultures. So student organizations and residence life. We have over 300 student groups at WVU. It's often very difficult to come up with an exact number because it actually changes every semester as some student groups go away and some new student groups are formed. As it says at the bottom of the slide, if we don't have a group that you want, it is very easy to start one. You just go to the student org's office, say, I want to start a new org, fill out a form, and you are ready to go. So if you and some friends decide that you want to, have something else, we can do that for you. I'd be pretty surprised if we don't already have something that you're interested in, everything from card playing. As you can see, we've got mountain climbers, we have Greek life, for all experience levels. I don't see how you could be bored at WVU unless you just want to be bored and stay in your room all the time. We have a very strong residence life program within our residence halls, and we currently have 9, lots of different styles of living. Maybe you want a very small apartment living with some other individuals. Maybe you want a suite where you share a bathroom with the room next door. Maybe you want more of a traditional community style dorm. We have all of those. And within the residence halls, there are upperclassmen, more experienced students that are charged with doing programs for you. Maybe they want to bring in a faculty speaker. Maybe they want to just get together and pop popcorn and watch a movie. Maybe, they want to go on a trip somewhere together. All the residence halls have funding available for that. And again, we have, in the time of COVID, we have very robust testing in our residence halls. If you would get sick, we have what's known as a care team that will take care of food delivery, any medical needs that you might have. We've been very proud of our COVID planning and response team this past year. Student government, or as we call it, the Student Government Association, or SGA. We do have international students, quite a few actually, that serve on this. You can either run for a general election, similar to a parliament or Congress, or you can also be the college representative. We have 13 colleges and schools at WVU, so engineering college, business college, arts and sciences college. Each of those colleges also elects senators or representatives to the student government. The student government is very concerned about our international students. They always want to make sure that they're welcome and that the student body as a whole is aware of how diverse our campus is. So I actually meet with student government leaders fairly regularly just to let them know, this is what's going on. A couple of them even started a program in engineering where if an international student wasn't comfortable going up to talk to the professor, because that's just not something they do in their culture, the American students would go over and take the international student up with them when they went to talk to the professor and introduce them and help them understand that that's something that we do in the US. You can just walk right up and talk to people. We have an amazing recreation facility on campus. The top picture with all the weight equipment, that's just one floor of a 3-story building. We also have the aquatics or pool area, as you can see, with lane swimming, a main pool, and off in the back by the window, that's our massive hot tub. If you just want to relax after a day of studying, go to the gym, have a hard workout, cool off in the pool and relax in the jacuzzi. We have the indoor track, as you can see, which also has a climbing wall. That's what you can see kind of coming up through the middle. It's great to run around the track and have someone climbing up the wall. It's happened to me plenty of times. The wall is actually modeled after an actual mountain here in West Virginia. As Clark mentioned, we have a lot of mountains. So they basically took a scan of that mountain and built the climbing wall to match. Within the within the recreation facility, outside of it, we have a lot of sports fields, athletic fields within the building, there's also an outdoor recreation facility. So if you want to go on those rivers that Clark was talking about, you can check out a canoe with your student ID. You can get a kayak, you can get mountain climbing, hiking equipment, camping equipment. We really want you to go outside and enjoy West Virginia. If you just want to take a nice leisurely stroll, we have a system called the Rail Trail, where we took throughout West Virginia, we took old railway tracks and paved them and made nice jogging and hiking trails. And you can just, go stroll by the river. It runs right through campus. We have many levels of competitive sports at WVU. We also have something called intramurals, which is an even lower level. So maybe you're in a card playing club and a group of your friends just decide, for a few weeks, let's play other clubs in soccer. You can just form an intramural team for a couple weeks, play through the soccer season of intramurals, and then you're done. No skill required at all. Then we have our club sports. So these are not the official, they don't play on TV. They're not at the, intercollegiate level, but they can be pretty competitive. And we do provide travel funding so that these teams can go around. The top picture is actually our cricket team. Then we have women's hockey is a club sport. And the bottom picture, believe it or not, we have a Quidditch team, which is very popular at WVU. They actually can't fly on the brooms. Obviously, they run with them, but then they have beaters, and the snitch is like a little drone that flies around. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, that's actually been a pretty popular thing here on campus for the past few years. And then if you know much about American sports, we have Division I athletics at WVU, which is the NCAA. Again, not professional, but these people, our basketball team is on TV most of the season. Our football team, American football, our stadium is consistently picked as one of the best, environments in US sports. It's a great time, even if you're not into sports. I'm not one of those people that just agonizes over sports statistics, but it's still a great experience to go to the games and watch. We have women's gymnastics. That team has, it's a great environment to go watch. Our women's soccer team has just made the national tournament for the 21st year in a row. They have a new stadium. It's, a great environment, and all of these events are free to WVU students. A lot of our international students love going to the games and then having their friends stream or tape the game, and they can catch themselves on TV in the audience, which has been a lot of fun. We caught a group last year during the NCAA tournament. They took a picture and they put it on their Facebook page to be like, look, I was on US American television, national television. So it's a great time. So as I mentioned, I don't think you're going to be bored if you come to West Virginia. And if you come to West Virginia University, obviously we have lots of things in place. There's literally, as our president used to say, thousands of people at WVU whose job it is to make sure that you have a good time and get a solid education. So there's my email. If you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to reach out. Even if your English skills are not strong, we have people in my office that can translate if you send the email in Japanese. So I look forward to hearing from you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Clark, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Amber. And there's going to be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of this webinar. I'm going to ask Ryan Glanville at West Liberty University to give a presentation. And after that, then we'll hear from Pennsylvania. So Ryan, the Zoom is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Glanville. I'm the coordinator of international programs at West Liberty University. We are a small public liberal arts institution offering undergraduate and graduate programs in the northern panhandle of West Virginia. We are just north of Wheeling, West Virginia, and southwest of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So it's a small slither of land that comes down, the widest about 7 miles across. So we are kind of between Ohio and Pennsylvania, but we are very much so West Virginians here. We sit on the Ohio River, close to with Wheeling, West Virginia. And that is actually the border between West Virginia and Ohio at this point. And we're about 20 minutes or so from the river. So we have a lot of outdoor activities. People do things on the river. We also have a lot of parks, Ogilvy Park and Wheeling Park, which are both city parks and have been consistently rated as some of the best in the nation. So this is a great place for outdoor sports, golf. We don't have the whitewater rafting opportunities right here that some of the southern part of the state has, but we do have some very close by, such as the Youghiogheny River in the Pennsylvania area, which is within about an hour's drive. I have a brief PowerPoint that I'd like to share with you, just to kind of tell you a little bit about our institution. This. Get this going. Okay, it's not going to work for me. So we have about 48 of 55 counties represented here at West Liberty. We have students from 29 states and 30 countries around the world. There are approximately 2,500 students here with over 70 international students. Our clubs and events for this spring, according to our policy, we are operating in different phases, and we are currently in phase 2, which is the hybrid phase. That means that we have to be masked when we are in all buildings, and we can only have small group gatherings up to 25 people. It's a very intense 4-phase procedures to ensure the health and safety of all of our students here.
Hey, Ryan, I'm going to,
Yes.
Do you want me to share your PowerPoint? Because
Could you please? Oh, is it not sharing?
I can share it if you want me to do it, but.
Yes, please do, because it's for some reason my computer is not pulling that up.
All right, so we're. Okay, here we go, Ryan.
Okay, so next slide, please. And that's our guidelines for the student life activities. And then we are in that phase 2 hybrid, which just means that, we are kind of in this in-between stage. And we are hybrid as well as our classrooms. Some of our courses this semester are online, others are in person, but social distancing is in place. Next slide, please, Clerk. And we are at 50% capacity in all of our rooms. So every building has the social distancing in mind. Next slide. Some of our events that we offer include Topperfest throughout the year. We also have West Lib Idol, which is kind of like the American Idol, but West Liberty version. And we actually had one of our international students win that last year. She did an amazing job, and it was really popular across campus. We also do a Hilltoppers Got Talent. Our students are known as the Hilltoppers because our university does sit at the top of a hill. We have open mic nights, and there have been a lot of paint and sips, where they're sits, not sips, because we are not drinking the alcohol here on campus, but in that tradition where students are getting together and social distancing and then painting, doing different theme nights. Next slide, please. We have over 75 clubs and organizations and special interest groups, some of which are academic, others are social. We have religious organizations, everything from chemistry club, soccer club. We also have, let's see, a student government association. They have a gaming club, history club, all of which are very popular. And every semester, our students have the opportunity to congregate and meet at our organizational fairs, where they can meet students that are participating in these programs and invite them to join in. Next slide, please. Our Greek life is very popular here on campus. Greek life, we have sororities and fraternities. It creates a brotherhood, sisterhood for our students. They do a lot of service programs here in the area. They do homecoming recruitment. The social service projects actually bring the student community along with some of the West Liberty Pan-Hellenic Council. So all of them work together on different social programs and helping, working with kids, working with cleanup projects. And this is something that a lot of international students have taken advantage of. Next slide, please. And you can see that we have about 5 sororities and 5 fraternities. Sororities being the sisterhoods for the females, fraternities for the men. We also have professional fraternities, which are organizations associated with their majors and their career interests. So you'll find those groups on campus. Next slide, please. Intramural sports are very big here for us. We have everything from racquetball, tennis, flag football, indoor soccer, volleyball, kickball, softball, and that does change every semester. Intramural sports are there based on interest. We have them where they are competitive with other groups, some from other universities, some just within the actual college. And then next slide, please. We also have NCAA Division II sports, baseball, basketball, golf, football team. We also have tennis and track for both men and women, wrestling for the men, volleyball for the women, acrobatics and tumbling was just added this past year. And that's been quite the spectator sport. We are actually offering students the ability to be spectators this spring for all of our sports at limited capacity. Next slide. Our international students club is called Spices, and they have weekly meetings. We do trips, everything from shopping trips to Pittsburgh to Wheeling. We'll go to the symphony. We've gone to museums in Pittsburgh. Over spring break in the past, we've taken trips to Niagara Falls, New York. And in conjunction with our International Center, we host monthly Taste of Home events where we feature a home-cooked meal from a different part of the world. We've done everything from Nepal, where we had momos, handmade, to brigadeiro from Brazil, and feijoada, which is a really tasty meat dish. So these have been great events for students to come and help prepare these meals and share their cultures, not just with the International Student Club, but also their friends, roommates, and such. Next slide, please. And I do have just a brief video I'd like to share. And this kind of tells you, we could sit here all day and tell you about West Virginia, but hearing it from...
Hey, Ryan.
Yes.
I don't know if we're going to be able to show the video because I can't, it's hard for me to share that. But
okay, I can actually share that with the chat screen so that people can watch that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, give everybody the link. Okay. Ryan, do you want to, you're finished or?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Ryan. And I think that is the end of the West Virginia presentations. And I now want to turn this over to Bill Keys to talk about our neighbor, Pennsylvania. Here you go, Bill.
Fantastic, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Give me 1 second. So good morning, everybody. We're going to move. And there's a lot of shared culture, especially in the western part of the state. So there's a big city there, Pittsburgh, that is close to some of the universities who just featured. So West Liberty University, as Ryan said, is quite close. And West Virginia University is also not very far over the border. So my name is Bill Keys, and I am the secretary for StudyPA, which is a group of universities and colleges and community colleges in Pennsylvania. And similar to Dr. Egnor's group, Study West Virginia, the idea of this group is to come together to boast about the wonders of our different states, and help international students to understand more about coming to our states. So if you have Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, you are welcome to follow us, or check out the different programming we have on there, and wonderful pictures and resources about our state too. So I'll give a little bit of background about Pennsylvania. So why do students choose to come to Pennsylvania? Well, it's a large state. You can see on the map down here, we are on the northeast coast, and we are right between New York State to the north, and then of course we've got West Virginia to the south and Delaware, and we are about, so in Philadelphia where I live, we are about an hour and a half from New York City, and about an hour and a half to 2 hours from Washington, DC. So regionally, geographically, there are a lot of great destinations to visit, as well as West Virginia, of course. So in terms of its economy and its size, Pennsylvania is home to about 12.8 million people. I put our GDP per capita here, which I think is about the same size as Singapore. And we had about, well, close to 50,000 international students in the 2019 to 2020 academic year. And of all the states in the USA, Pennsylvania is home to the 4th most colleges, and I'll show you a map of our colleges in a second. The state is the top 10 in terms of affordability rankings. So it's important to think carefully about your budget when you come to the US, and Pennsylvania is a great option for this, especially when, you know, the cost of urban living all of the Pennsylvania colleges and universities. And this is a helpful map because you can also see on the right side over on the left-hand side here by the border of Ohio, and Morgantown, this city just under the border here, is where West Virginia University is based. So we are, as I said, we are neighbors to West Virginia. And then across the state, there are lots of different settings for schools. So we have urban, semi-urban, and rural settings. Really, students can choose whatever their best fit is in terms of the feel they want from their college or university. Some students prefer the urban, the city environment, and some students feel much more at home in the middle of the countryside, surrounded by woods and trees. So here's a list of our StudyPA colleges and universities in our organization, and these stretch across the state too. So we are hoping someday maybe to have all of these schools join our organization. So another bit on why to choose Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania is one of the oldest states in the USA. It's one of the original 13 colonies that European settlers came and settled. But of course, there is a history that dates back thousands and thousands and thousands of years before this of human activity in the area and human settlement in the US. So in fact, I think one of the oldest historical sites in the US is just close to Pittsburgh. It's about 10,000 years old, the Meadowcroft site. there's a huge amount to explore, whether you are interested in the arts, history, music, large museums in Pennsylvania, sorry, in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Scranton. Really, it's home to a lot of different passions. I have 2 million residents. Pittsburgh, I think, is about 600,000. And then across the state, there are about 1,000 smaller towns and cities, many of which have colleges and universities. And about 50%, about half of the state is covered in forest and woodland. So for students who are accustomed to getting easy access to nature, it's very important for physical and mental health to spend a lot of time outdoors, and there are certainly many opportunities to do this in Pennsylvania. And in that there are about 8,500 square kilometers of public land, so national parks, state parks, city parks to explore. And Philadelphia is home to one of the largest urban park networks, so we're very lucky in that respect. So something that I wanted to mention was volunteering, because we heard that this is an important time in Japan for volunteering, and it's also an important season in the US for volunteering. And throughout the year, honestly, there are loads of opportunities for students to get involved outside of your studies as well as through your studies. So I'll talk a little bit about this. On the right here, we have some statistics for volunteering in Pennsylvania. So, Pennsylvanians donated 338 million volunteer hours last year, which equated to about $7.7 billion in services that they donated. And then 28% of Pennsylvanians volunteer. So that's a significant number of the community. But I think, the more the better. And so if you're interested in volunteering, if it's something you're passionate about, there are loads of opportunities. People can come. I mean, you don't need a special authorization to volunteer if you're here as an international student. Organizations, especially nonprofit organizations, often need help with skilled work. So things like social media management, for example, a lot of organizations really could use students to help with this, young students to help them understand, how to market themselves on social media, or plan events maybe, or even do some things like accounting or bookkeeping. And then, of course, there are unskilled opportunities too. There are many animal shelters across the US that people can go volunteer at. So if you like animals, you can go feed animals, or you can get involved with education programs, that kind of thing. There are also short and long-term opportunities. So sometimes there will be a volunteer day or event that you can go participate in, or if you're passionate and you want to make it part of your experience in the US, you can commit to something longer term and do it every day, every week, once a month on your schedule. There are lots of different search websites for volunteering in Pennsylvania. So through universities and colleges, there are also lots of or helping in the community through your studies. So you might earn academic credit through the experience, and it really helps you to get to know the community you live and work and study in much better, and to build relationships to people in the community. There are often student organizations that are focused on service or things like sustainability or climate action. So students often, we are grateful to our students quite often for leading the change. And in fact, some of the first people who drove the environmental movement in the US were students. So student organizations play a very important role in getting universities involved with their communities and providing opportunities for students to serve and volunteer. And then, of course, there's many opportunities for students to be involved with fundraising. You'll hear often about marathons or fun runs or bake-offs, this kind of thing, where people raise money for specific charities through a sponsored event. And most universities have these kind of activities throughout the year. So I just wanted to mention a couple of specific occasions. So the MLK Day of Service is in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King, the civil rights icon. And his birthday is every year on January the 15th. But the MLK Day of Service is a national holiday. So the whole idea is that people go out, they help in their community, they maybe clean up, do some kind of volunteering. And I think most universities and schools devote the day to some kind of service activity. And then I wanted to give a special mention today to Earth Day, because it's April 22nd, it's today. Earth Day has been around for about 50 years, and it's a day that's devoted to climate action. So people taking action to, to rally for a better approach to our environmental activities. And this is, I've got an example of a photo down on the left here. This wasn't actually on Earth Day, but it's the kind of thing people do to do a tree planting to make our atmosphere healthier. And this happens a lot across Pennsylvania. There are lots of tree planting groups that actually, I'm in this photo, I'm part of one of those groups. So here on the right, this was an MLK Day cleanup in our local park that's close to my university. And although these events happen every year on MLK Day, they also are an option throughout the year. Students are encouraged to get involved with service. So while I'm on that note, actually, volunteering is a great way for students, especially who sometimes have, international students can't always work on their student visa. There are specific rules around working. And one great way to build your resume, to get, experience that you can put on your employment paperwork for when you're applying to jobs after college, is to volunteer, because it's a great way to show that you have worked hard at something over an amount of time, and you can build connections to your co-workers at the volunteer organizations, and they can help you to find jobs and be a reference to. So I won't spend too much time on sport, because I know that others have mentioned it, but sport in the USA is a national obsession. It's kind of like a religion. I think the most popular sports are obviously American football, basketball, and baseball. Up in the Northeast, ice hockey is quite important. And here, Dr. Clark Egnor was mentioning many of the mascots that West Virginia universities have. And you can see here, these are some of the Philadelphia mascots. So Gritty is our ice hockey mascot, and he's become quite famous in the media because he's a bit weird. In terms of universities or college opportunities, obviously, some of our speakers have mentioned scholarships. So there are full athletic scholarships available for students in 6 sports. So football, basketball, men's and women's basketball, gymnastics, tennis, and volleyball. So really it's 5 sports, but they split out men's and women's basketball. And then there are partial athletic scholarships for many, many other types of sports. So as Dr. Amber Brugnoli mentioned, and it was something I was thinking to mention during this presentation, and I'm glad she mentioned it, but even a sport like Quidditch, which was, it's from Harry Potter and it's only been around for a few years, any sport will do. Americans love loads of sports. Students will get engaged with anything, and within a university come together to form their own team and play for fun. So it's not on a competitive level between colleges, but it's when students or people in a community within a college set up their own league for any sport they want to, really. I also wanted to give a brief overview of student organizations, because these are sometimes different depending on the national context. So student organizations, especially for international students who are new to the US and may not have any, some American students come to college and they already have friends who maybe came from their high school with them, or they know people through some different means. International students might come to a university and know absolutely no one and have a difficult time meeting people at first. So student organizations, or orgs as students will call them, are a really good opportunity to make a community and make friends. They are groups for shared hobbies, interests, studies, or cultures. I think one of our speakers, or maybe both of our speakers, mentioned that some universities have Japanese culture clubs or international student organizations. There are also professional and academic organizations, and then anything under the sun, really. Anything that students are interested in or share a passion about, they can form an organization around. And even small colleges have lots of organizations. So my home university, University of the Sciences, we have about 2,000 students, but almost to your resume. This is another great thing for international students to use on their resume for job applications after graduation, to show that you've got some leadership skills, you've had some experience leading an organization, maybe doing event planning, fundraising, all of these important work skills. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions about studying in Pennsylvania, you are welcome to reach out to me or our team through any of these channels, StudyPA on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And I hope you are enjoying this session. So I'll hand over now to Jazmin Wright of the Community College of Philadelphia, who will talk a little bit about the community college experience. Are you ready, Jasmine?
Yes, I am. Thanks, Bill. And
Okay.
a moment, I'll take an opportunity to share screen as well, so I can show you all my slides. And I'll be representing Delaware County Community College this morning to speak to you all a little bit more about community colleges in general, and along the same lines of discussing some different extracurricular opportunities that you can take advantage of, not only at some of these four-year institutions like you've heard of, but also at a community college. And I'll bring you more information around what that means as far as a community college. So like I said, I represent Delaware County Community College, and I'm an admissions officer at the college, as well as supporting international students. Delaware County Community College is a mid to large size institution. We do award associate's degrees. So rather than a bachelor's degree that you will get from a four-year, we offer a two-year associate's degree at the community college that's available to students. So you have that opportunity to start with a community college and earn that associate's degree in as little as 2 years, and then continue your education towards earning that bachelor's degree at another institution that we may have a partnership with, where you'll transfer your credits and continue your education to earn your bachelor's degree, and maybe even further to earn a master's and a doctorate degree while you're here in the country. So Delaware County Community College serves about 11,000 students, and of them, 70 to 80 of them are international students. And like most colleges, we've experienced some dips in that given COVID, but our international students do represent over 30 different countries. So a very diverse institution, not just within our international population, but our regular population of students being very diverse as well. Over 47% of our students are of a minority demographic. So you will find that the institution has a lot of different people, and you will interact with a lot of different cultures and a lot of people with different experiences, which is always a great thing. You'll also find this photo that you'll see here is a picture of our STEM complex in one of our newer buildings on campus. So you'll find that the campus is not only safe, but very high tech as well as accessible. And that's something that's true about community colleges, because they're typically not just located in one place. There's typically multiple campuses or locations for you to take courses at. So you have different opportunities to access the community college in your community. And like Bill mentioned, with us being located in Pennsylvania, a really great location with easy access, about 2 hours north to New York for Delaware County Community College, and about 2 hours south to DC. So you have that opportunity to go either way and experience some different things, or not go too far at all, because there are some amazing things that you can experience right in Philadelphia, which is just a short train or bus or drive over. So I want to take an opportunity to also talk a little bit more about student life at the community college. And typically with some community colleges, you may find that since there aren't residence halls typically, that the idea is that there's just classes and then you go home or you go back to where you reside. And student life at a community college is more than classes if you take the opportunity to get involved, which I recommend for any student, because it really does make your experience at college. I would say I learned a lot and I met a lot of great people going through my classes, but where I really met those people and made long-lasting relationships in college was through those different clubs and organizations that I took advantage of. And like mentioned on the call already, all of our clubs are student governed. So if you find that the clubs that currently exist don't match your interests, you have the ability to start the club. So that's definitely an opportunity for students. You'll also find that outside of the 25 plus clubs and organizations, that there are different workshops that will help you to essentially gain new skills and check in with yourself to make sure that you are your best self in some of these different facets. So we have courses on finance, maybe teaching our students about saving and budgeting, investing and credit. We also have fitness courses. And even though everything has gone virtual, we're still finding different creative ways to get connected with students. So as far as our fitness workshops, we do have yoga courses weekly, as well as on campus, there's an opportunity to use our fitness center, and there were in-person courses and fitness classes hosted there. But since we are currently remote, we are currently doing a steps challenge this April. So all the different departments and students are tracking our steps, and there's always really good prizes that come with these different workshops that we have to entice students to definitely take an opportunity to get involved. We also have professional opportunities around workshops as well. So you'll find events like our career fair is going on next week, which hosts different employers that fall into the different majors. So students have an opportunity to network with them early and find out what are some of those things that are important to employers, so students can ensure that they're doing those things while they're in college and that they're making themselves marketable when the time is over for them to graduate. We also have different cultural enrichment workshops that are available to students. So as of COVID, since everything's been virtual, we've been doing a lot of Quizzo, which is where we log on and almost do like a trivia game where students are able to win prizes. Our most recent Quizzo was on Asian American and Pacific Islander history. And that was a really fun one. We all learned a lot and some students won some money. So that was an awesome event. But like the photo that you'll see in the background there, our students take trips to different places. This photo was a trip to DC that our students took. And in the very center there, there's our Director of International Student Services, Veronica Rodriguez. And she's really built a great strong relationship with the students. And these are some of our international students also depicted here. So really taking the opportunity to dive into the culture while you're here. So they took that trip to DC, as well as there's been trips to New York to see the theater, visit French restaurants. So depending on what your interests are, you will find that there are opportunities to expand your knowledge and that interest outside of what you're learning in the classroom. There's also opportunities to build your professional resume within the community college and any college, especially Delaware County Community College. Through our Student Employment Services Office, they support students with things like work study, which is an opportunity for students to work while they're on campus. So we actually have international students that work in the admissions office to support us with different clerical opportunities. They also run our tours for our visitors that come to campus and support us with some social media needs, like Bill alluded to earlier. So there's some opportunities for you to get some practical work experience while you're here. There's also internships that we can set students up with. So based on, what your major is and what your career goals are, we can find different internships opportunities either on campus or in the community. And one great thing around OPT, which you guys know is a program for student visa holders, which allows you to get some of that practical training after you complete your program. Well, one great thing about looking into community college education is you could essentially go back home with a little bit more professional experience than you would if you choose a community college. Because in a sense, after you complete your 2-year associate's degree program, you're eligible for 12 to 24 months of OPT, depending on what program and what job placement that you find. So after you complete that OPT, you do have the ability to continue your education, let's say into a bachelor's degree program. And once that program is complete, you could be eligible for OPT again. So that's an opportunity that students may not necessarily think through, but after completing one program, you are eligible for OPT. And if you start with an associate's degree, that would be essentially completing 2 programs if you're doing an associate's and a bachelor's. So 2 rounds of OPT and a good amount of relevant work experience here in the States that you're able to take back home. So that's a great opportunity if you look into something like obtaining an associate's degree and then continuing your education. Again, continuing just to talk about some of the different opportunities to expand your experience while you're on campus around clubs and different opportunities to get involved. This slide here, I'm really excited and proud of. This is our past soccer team. And one thing that was really awesome about our soccer team is they represented over 10 different countries. So about 12 different countries, all of our different students on the soccer team represented. So you can see the immense amount of diversity on the team and on the campus. About 2 of these students are actual international students, but like I mentioned, the diversity at our institution does not just come from our international population. We have a very diverse institution in general, and I'm very proud of that because it is a place where a lot of students do find that they are welcome and they can find their community and find their home while they're at Delaware County Community College. And like I also mentioned, given that everything is virtual majority right now, this to the left of this slide, it does show some of the different Zoom events that we've had with our students. And they've taken the opportunity to log in with us and learn some different things and connect, because we recognize that even though we are working from home, it is still a need and a necessity for us to connect with each other and check in with all of us to ensure that everyone is their best self. But we look forward to this fall where we are opening up campus more. And even currently campus is open more, where students can come and utilize the services on campus, as well as check in for support or need if needed. But we are looking forward to when we can function on campus and do some more in-person events where we come together with our international students to connect. So that picture in the center on the left is when we were able to get on campus and, walk around and enjoy the fresh air with our different students. And I'm sure we'll be able to do that again very soon, just with our mask and our distancing as needed. And then the last thing that I'll bring you around what we're currently doing at the college is just important to share, how we're responding to COVID-19 and what are some of the things that are on our minds and important to the college right now around staying local, staying on track, and staying safe. So traveling to the States, like I mentioned, we do have a lot of different campuses. So that is an opportunity for students not to travel very far of a distance from where they are residing here in the States. And they have that opportunity to access campus with ease. And staying on track, like I mentioned, there's that opportunity to start with us and continue, and staying safe around some of the different, like I mentioned, us opening up campus more and ensuring that we are following social distance guidelines. So with that, it's important to think about the unmatched value that you'll find in a community college, where you'll essentially pay a fraction of the cost when comparing to some of the different larger institutions. Community colleges typically tend to be a little bit more affordable in that instance, as well as when you're thinking about the requirements and applying to a community college, you may be comparing, what your different English levels are, and you will find that there are intensive English programs in the States that you can look into that you might find a little bit more value in starting there. Like I mentioned, we've expanded our online and safe in-person options. So any course that you're looking to take, majority of them do have an in-person as well as an online component. So you have that option of how you want to take your classes and how you learn best to ensure that you are your best self. Virtual advising and support is currently available for students. So like I mentioned, we do have the limited in-person that is opening up, but prior to that, virtual advising was the #1 thing for students. So you have that opportunity to placement test remote from your home country, even prior to arriving. You have that opportunity to register for classes over the phone or through a Zoom or Skype opportunity. So there's ways that we are expanding our opportunities and our ways to connect with students to ensure that, we're meeting their needs. And then, like I mentioned before, students take that 2-and-2 program where they do 2 years at an associate's degree or a community college, associate's degree awarding institution, and do 2 more years and transfer to either any nationwide college or university. So Delaware County Community College specifically has over 75 different partnerships nationwide with different colleges and universities. So you have that opportunity to continue your education. And one of the things that I think is really great about coming to the States is that community immersion piece. And with that, like I mentioned, some community colleges will have residence halls available for you, but some of them also will have programs like homestay. And Delaware County Community College offers a homestay program that allows students to be placed with families here in the States. So they would live with those families and be provided accommodations by those families. And it's an opportunity for a student to live with a US family and dive right into the culture of what's available here. And they have that opportunity through that community immersion, through things like residence halls and homestay. So I hope that, I brought you all some good information to learn more about the community college side of extracurriculars in the States here. And I'll pass it back over to you, Bill, to continue through Pennsylvania.
Yep, thank you so much, Jasmine. That was wonderfully informative. Yes, community colleges are a wonderful way to start out your educational experience in the US. And that was a great example of how you can do that. And I always advise students to look specifically at the transfer partnerships that community colleges have with 4-year institutions, because these make it very, very easy to move from a community college to a 4-year degree and use all of that coursework and save a lot of money along the way. So next up is Joshua Jaquins from Drexel University. Joshua, are you ready?
Yes, thank you, Bill. And as I start to share my screen here, I just want to thank all of my colleagues that have been here today and all of the wonderful information that they have been sharing with you. I know it's a lot. And I am going last now, so I will do my absolute best to keep you as engaged as possible. But my name is Josh Jaquins, and I'm an associate director on the first year admissions team here at Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And what it is my role to do is to work with students who are interested in the university and talk them through that process, ultimately read their application to the university as well. And while I am a representative of Drexel University, I'm going to be speaking today a bit more generally. And what I want to really focus in on is really just global, modern, comprehensive research universities that are put in an urban setting. And what I really want to focus in on is something that we practice at Drexel, but is also something that is happening at a lot of other universities, and more universities that do not operate on this model are starting to incorporate it into the education because of the future of work and really what's happening now around the world. And that is experiential-based learning. And what experiential-based learning is it's a curriculum, if you will. And it is a curriculum that will incorporate a few different things together that are working in unison. That being world-class academics, right? What you are learning in the classroom, in addition to real-world experience, and an integration of the two of those to make sure that students are really getting a unique type of education that's going to propel them really into the future. So they're getting theory and practice. They're learning these things in the classroom, going out there, applying them in the real world, and pulling that knowledge back into the classroom. So institutions that operate with this curriculum tend to have a little bit more of an advanced conversation that's happening, where students are challenging professors because they're going out there in these industries, pulling that information back in. It's a very interesting dynamic, and I've always equated this to something like playing a sport or playing an instrument. To be a successful basketball player, for instance, you really need to understand the game of basketball and the rules and the mechanics. So much of that is crucial to being a successful basketball player. However, you can know all of those things and go out there to play the game of basketball and be absolutely terrible. So that's where institutions that operate on an experiential model, not only in this instance or metaphor, will teach the student the game of basketball and then send them out there, not just to play the game itself, but to play the game with the individuals that are doing it right now. So you're gaining those life skills that you can apply in the classroom and really beyond. And actually what we have here, I will provide just a few Drexel examples as that's what I know best. But this is happening, of course, at a lot of other institutions that operate on this model. Is civic engagement has kind of been a theme that we've been talking about today, and volunteering, and it's ingrained through the curriculum. A lot of these institutions incorporate it into the curriculum as well as core classes. And what we have here is a picture of an individual in Philadelphia who utilized the many opportunities that are available throughout an experiential model and applied that to his passions and what he was looking to do here in the city. And this is a student who really found his passion in fighting food insecurity in Philadelphia, not just with homeless populations, but with other college students on campus. This student realized when he had an ample amount of swipes or passes into the dining hall left over at the end of the term, he started donating those to other students, which gave birth to this sharing excess project that he is now working on all throughout Philadelphia and expanding throughout Pennsylvania. So those are the types of things you can kind of expect when you're looking at this type of institution. I have a few examples up here on the screen. Many of these are academic, but it's important to note that it's not just things that are happening on an experiential based level in the academic realm. We have, a very robust campus experience. One of the things that is interesting at comprehensive research universities, I believe, is that, you look at an institution like Drexel, like Northeastern, like the Rochester Institute of Technology, and focus very heavily on research initiatives and STEM type programming. But people really miss that campus experience and don't realize that these places have really robust performing arts departments and Division I athletics. So many things are happening outside of the classroom that really just contribute to the overall college experience and make it incredibly robust. And we'll talk about those and some more examples as we progress forward. I think one of the best opportunities that an experiential-based large research university can provide for students is something known as a cooperative education program, or a co-op program, if you will. And what a co-op program is it takes this idea of an internship or real life work experience and integrates it into the academics. So it is not extending your time. But when you are doing these opportunities, you are typically not taking any classes, right? You're stepping outside of the classroom and working at large scale or small scale, depending upon what it is that you are looking to do, organizations around the world contributing to what they do on a daily basis. Institutions like Drexel, Northeastern, University of Cincinnati that have these types of programs really do hold close relationships with employers on a global level and provide opportunities for students to really stand out as more and more people are attending college and obtaining degrees. This is kind of a determining factor that allows students to stand out afterwards and to test drive their careers, really, if you will. Now, I focused very heavily on kind of, academic and curricula-based opportunities, but that's not what it's all about, right? What we're kind of here to talk about today as well is what the campus experience is like and what the experience is like being at an urban institution in a major city like Philadelphia. So, here are a few examples of some of the things that you can expect on being in an institution like ours or ones that are in larger cities. It's really just going to enhance the overall experience because you're really going to have a couple different communities that you are a part of, not just your college community and the experiences that you have there, but the Philadelphia community. We really encourage our students to go out there and explore what the city has to offer. So you're getting that kind of traditional college experience while you are on campus, but it is extended beyond with a lot of different cultural events and wonderful museums and professional sports teams that are there and organizations that are really targeting the students here in the city. Now, when speaking about on-campus opportunities, these are just a few examples that Drexel provides, but these are also available at a number of other institutions as well. Student clubs and organizations, I would implore you and beg you at whatever institution you decide to attend to get involved in these clubs and organizations. They are diverse. They are incredible experiences, which a few of my colleagues have touched on, where you're really going to start to develop your community throughout these organizations. And large universities offer an array, as I mentioned. So we have everything, from clubs that focus on intramural sports, religious and academic organizations, to ones that are a little bit more quirky. Someone earlier mentioned the Quidditch team. We also have a Quidditch team at Drexel, or a chocolate lovers club. But as I mentioned, studies show that the more engaged you are on your campus, the better you're performing academically as well. At these institutions, we understand that it may be difficult to find your community. So we offer living experiences that focus on that for students entering. Many of them are driven by academics, but some of them may be cultural as well, or bringing together international students from all over the world. You know, Drexel and a lot of these tier R1 research universities are Division I NCAA teams, so providing athletics at the highest level. But that's not, if that's not what you want to do, maybe you want to compete at a club level or an intramural level. There are all different aspects of competitiveness when you're looking at these organizations. But, you know, it's a wonderful dynamic to have a college in a major city because of the vast array of opportunities that are there and available. Going back to that model of volunteering, I think more and more institutions here in the US and really on a global level are starting to focus more in on that volunteering and that civic engagement. And ones that are in urban settings are setting up specific buildings and offices around the city to really engage and to give back and to work closely with the community that's going to support them or support their students for the next 4 or 5 years, depending upon the different programs that you select at a number of these different institutions and what it is that they offer. So there are opportunities for students to go to these different offices around Philadelphia and take what it is that they are learning at Drexel, at Northeastern, at University of Cincinnati, and really bring it to the community. So things like students that may be in a specific performing arts program, whether it's playing an instrument or dance, are teaching courses to the local community in the area, just to enrich it and kind of bridge that relationship between the cities that they are within and, of course, the universities that are there and forever expanding. With civic engagement kind of comes leadership development as well. What this allows for you to do is really start to develop a story for yourself very early on. More and more institutions are implementing civic engagement and volunteering requirements as early as students' freshman year, where it's going to allow them to go out there and start to develop a resume of these activities that they can contribute and have conversations with potential employers maybe later on, or if they're looking to get into certain organizations. This is really something that's going to enrich that and really just kind of make the student story a little bit more robust. So what I have here is some contact information, and I'm not sharing this to really plug Drexel by any means, but the reason why I'm sharing this is I really want to just stress the number of resources that colleges and universities have for students that are interested there. And this is really just the tip of the iceberg, right? The conversations that we've been having today and these types of resources really just provide you a small view into the number of opportunities that are available at large comprehensive research universities here in the US. So really any college that you are looking at, please do explore their websites and talk to these admissions representatives. We are here to help you in every way possible and really want to share what we are passionate about with you as you start to make your decisions of where you want to be moving throughout the future. I have my contact information up here on the screen. I want to thank you all for listening to me after hearing so much today. I hope some of this resonates with you all. And a piece of advice that I will give you is that, please do take advantage of all of these wonderful opportunities that you have heard about today, but also know that it's okay to pause sometimes. As you get involved, there's a wealth of opportunities. It can get overwhelming at times. Have conversations with your friends, with your family, with your peers, and know when, to make that pause. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, Joshua. That was a really important message for students, both domestic and international. So I want to say thank you to all of our speakers today, and thank you so much to Education USA in Japan for hosting us for this event. Thank you, Clark, too, for helping to organize And yeah, we look forward to communicating with students, and feel free to reach out to any of us if you have questions.
Okay. 皆様、本日は EducationUSA のウェビナーにご参加くださいましてありがとうございました。Thank you for participating in our webinar tonight, and I'm very sorry for the delay. I really hope you find this session as helpful and learn something new, extra curriculums for students in U.S. colleges and universities. I would also like to thank the speakers tonight, Clark, Amber, Brian from West Virginia, and Bill, Jasmine, and Josh from Pennsylvania. We appreciate your cooperation in such early morning and hope you will have Good Friday. Education USA and US Embassy Tokyo are holding Ryugaku Joho sessions and fun events. Please check our website. It should be on a chat box, so just click the link, and hope to see you soon on one of our programs. Okay, well, thank you very much. 皆様、ありがとうございました。Bye.
Thank you. Arigato.
ありがとうございました。Thank you.